region of high net value densities, and we will see in a moment why this and the nuclear astrophysics actually marry in a synergic activity there. And then a lot of other things, biophysics, atomic physics, plasma physics, material research. All of this is part of the mission of the laboratory. And so one of the key questions that somehow is underlying the whole system is where the elements come from. We know that if you look at the periodic table of the elements shortly after the Big Bang, it's not very populated. It's only very few elements. And actually, those of you who have been working with us reproducing the early universe conditions, Alice actually enjoyed studying the production of these nuclei from the quark-gluon plasma. They are only a handful of light nuclei, where all the rest has been produced through very many different processes throughout the history of the universe that we study in the laboratory. A little bit now in the early precursor phases of affair, and very much in the future. Well, in some sense, our nucleosynthesis section of the laboratory is what I have shown you before. This, let me go back a second. Here you see this fragment separator. It's a target, so this is very many different types of targets. So we are looking at this piece of the facility. Let's go back. Picture. This is the fragment separator, so you have a production target, you produce very many different isotopes, then you select them and you can do experiments, or then slow them down, experiments in low energy, or collect them in storage rings. And then by that you can access the reproduction in the laboratory of the conditions of very many different fundamental processes which determine the overall spectrum of the overall population of nuclei in the universe. I'll give you a simple example because as I said, there's many different processes, so I can pick a couple. One fascinating one, when Fowler gave his Nobel lecture in 1983, so 40 years ago, he indicated as one of the most important experiments to be done, the Doppler experiment in which you measure the cross-section for carbon plus alpha plus helium to make oxygen. Why? This is one of the fundamental processes, because we know how the history of starts. Though you burn hydrogen, you take helium, you burn helium, you make carbon, you burn carbon plus helium to make oxygen, and carbon and oxygen are building blocks of life, are what we are made of. How much carbon, how much oxygen, well, measure. That is a difficult measurement. After he sort of highlighted this as one of the key measurements that physicists should do, it has taken 40 years, and it is now being done in the precursor program at FAIR. It's called FAIR-0, we'll see more about it later. So addressing fundamental questions really for humanity. Where are the building blocks of life made? So, but another one, fundamental. Where are all the gold and platinum coming from? Well, you know that there's been an enormously successful measurement by experiments which look at the gravitational waves that observe the neutron merger, and then the light curve produced after that has been observed by the astronomical observatories. Fantastic. One of the, in my opinion, most important results in recent years. When you look at the paper, and the paper shows the comparison measurement of the data of the so-called kilonova signal with a paper of several years before, which was published by a group of theorists, which predicted it, and actually also created the name kilonova. And look, this is a group of nuclear physicists, actually largely from GSI. Why were they working on this? Because this process is one of the core processes of failure. And so they were simply the right interpretations for what things would be measured at fair. So, by the way, only yesterday, Martinez was honored with the Leibniz Prize, which is the highest science prize in Germany. It's 2.5 million euros. It's a major prize, and because of this work. So there, to understand what's going on in the process, these are observations of what comes to Earth from these. But you want to know what's going on inside, how matter behaves with extreme electromagnetic field. That's done in the upper experiments. How the matter behaves at extreme densities and temperatures in neutron-star and then during the Berger process. CDM adds how protons and neutrons are formed, and how the chemical elements that are produced at the early phase evolve from the neutron star matter all the way to the matter that we observe. And you really can go and look quantitatively. Do we actually reproduce with the type of densities and temperatures that we have in the collisions that we will produce in fair, the conditions of neutron stars and neutron star mergers? Yes, those are exactly the temperatures, 50 MeV, the densities from 2 to 6 to 10 times the nuclear density, to that we can produce in the laboratory and study. But there are many other questions about the universe that will be addressed in theory. The planetary science relies a lot on, again, observation. Observation provides a lot of information on the surface of planets, which is well known, not so much on the behavior of matter inside. What are characteristics of matter and the extreme densities and pressures that are present in planets. Even in the Earth, we know the poor behavior of matter in those conditions. This will be reproduced. There and studying the unique coupling of nuclear beams and tethered lasers. But then you can go and look at the universe outside, the universe in terms of radiation from the universe. And there you will find that at the moment we are all excited about the future of space exploration with long trips, going to Mars, long periods in space. And then we have a problem that one of the limiting factors is the presence of radiation that affects materials, affects electronics, and affects humans. And humans at a very, very extreme level with considerable risk of cancer, even considerable risk of loss of cognitive capabilities. All this is possible to study and then develop mitigating measures. But for that, you need to have a reliable simulation, reproduction, I would say, simulation of the spectrum of space radiation, and then you can do it fair, then you can create efficiency. Similarly, you want to know where complex molecules are built. We think that one of the key factors to create complex molecules is the effect of cosmic radiation on interstellar dust. And this again, we can do in the laboratory. Many laboratories are studying this type of processes. We think we can do it better, but in the sense that we can do it more realistically, because we can have in fairly big operation the full description of the composition of the spectrum. Now, in doing that, we develop many different types of technologies. I will just remind you a couple of very important ones. One is sustainable IT. We have developed for one of the most energy efficient computer centers worldwide. And this lead to savings in the cooling power of about 90%, which is enormous, if you think. Not on the total power, on the cooling power, let's be honest. But sustainability and ability to treat at the same time huge amounts of data and in real time, the things that are not easy to measure. Huge amount of data, fast processing, and sustainable systems. This is what we try to do, and we continue to develop. But also, this laboratory has been a pioneer in cancer therapy, introducing the ion beams as the tool to destroy the cells of the tumor by limiting, minimizing the you see here. This is with photons curve, legend, that shows that when you are irradiating your cancer, tumor in this region, you have already given more radiation to the healthy tissue, which have to cross to reach your tumor. On the opposite, if you use a beam, you will limit the amount of radiation given to the healthy tissue, and then on the opposite, maximize the energy deposition into the cells that you want to kill. And that is, of course, an enormous importance when your tumor is in a region where the healthy tissue is particularly precious, in the brain, in the eye, in the spinal cord. And this is a continuously developing field. Some of the challenges now are moving organs, or the use of this scalpel, a remote scalpel that you can use to other fields. At some point, we have developed a tool that allows to destroy cells in a well-defined position inside the body without opening it. And then we can say, okay, you can try to use it for ablation in curing arrhythmia for heart diseases, for example. Instead of opening the heart and intervening in the heart, I reach the cells which I want to destroy with their remote particles. And it has actually, we have done it with pigs, it actually works. So it's actually something which is the future. But I said before, science is built by brains. And I think that we have to remember our laboratories have the unique capability to create talent. They are talent factories. And that not because we give them the talent to people, or we have the talent, but we give them the opportunity to blossom, develop. And there we have very many programs. We have more than 300 PhD students. We have very many programs to exchange with countries. In particular, this is a program which is, by the way, led by Etienne Roche, which is called Get Involved, that creates opportunities and finds also resources to allow interns to come and training at fairs, and which has many aspects of internship, partnership, research experience, and very many young students and young postdocs or young researchers have already come and continue to come to the lab. So let's just come quickly to the dream which becomes reality. This was the groundbreaking ceremony, and you see our Vikesh sitting there together with the old friend Hans Gutbrod, that has been always a protagonist in some of many of the adventures of Vikesh along history. And this is fair becoming reality in this is now. So you see this here, this is the construction site right now, this is 100, the main accelerator, these are the under construction buildings on the southern part, you see more of them, and this is the cave for the CDM experiment, which has been at the core of the science in the last years. And this is the tunnel of 600, which is now starting to be filled with equipment. At the moment they are installing services, and before the end of the year, you will start to see magnets. And again, these are pictures. This is from April. The other one was, this one was October. This is April. You see many more things already growing. And of course, the 600 tunnel you don't see anymore because it was an immense trench, 25 meters deep, 25 meters wide, and it has been filled with the concrete structures and then recovered with solid. This is the cave of Ossinia, being practically complete. I took a visit a few days ago, and actually you now walk in. It's painted inside, and various buildings. These are connection buildings between the different parts of the facility. These are the southern buildings under construction, and of course you want to create buildings, but you want to fill them with equipment. And these are some pictures of a huge storage area, 10,000 square meters, where we have already more than 4,000 accelerator components. And many of those come from India. These are our connectors I was talking about before. These are in Hyderabad. You will see many pictures of different numbers here, because of course, if you go on a different date, there's going to be a different number of these. Design, the magnets design in India, and this components, very many things. And we want to do science at fair, that we have a staged approach.
Paolo.
6 or 8. Yes, I'm almost finished.
You are just finished now. Sorry. The time is up.
Yeah, I wrap it up, and I show you that, okay, that CDM is becoming a reality, and that is becoming reality with detectors being built in India, with this almost electricity. And also there is a slice of CDM, which is called so-called mini CDM, which is now taking data on the energy side, and which includes the jet detectors made in India. You can see them here, and is very successful in our data, demonstrating the capability to work at extremely high rates, and other detectors are being brought to operation for in Moscow. So FAIR is coming. It's a unique opportunity for world science. We want to put it all together, and we are already taking data with all the components that are already available. And India has been a key founder, and has been then, since then, an owner of the project, the leading player all along. And we look forward to a leading function of India FAIR also in the future. But we have to remember that to create a dream, you need a leader. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mikash for having been one of the key figures that made so that clear is now becoming reality. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robert, for a very interesting and exhaustive description of our involvement in sphere. And I hope it goes fairly well now that Russia is importantly crossed. Any question? We'll have for one question. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Things are going, the construction is progressing extremely well, as you can see. And by the way, specifically CBM is the progressing extremely well. Of course, it's an issue now, the Russian role, but we are already doing market surveys on how we would handle the potential absence of the components being made in Russia, for example, the dipole of the CM experiment, and we have identified producers that would do that. So it's bad because of the scientific collaboration, it's bad because of the monetary loss, but it's not a showstopper. I mean, we can proceed also without it.
Thank you very much. We don't have any more time. So, if you want to ask a question, Nico? Question? Okay, let's stand the speaker once more, please. आपको जाने से तो